All right, let's see how you did with yesterday's homework. So today we're going to work through numbers 8 through 20 and correct your errors, make sure you understand, rework the problem, mark up your paper, go back and practice them. So one thing about math people sometimes don't realize is that you can keep practicing and working on it and figure out where your errors were made. So follow along with what I've got here and make sure that your steps match mine. Number 8. This was part of your first number for your assignment yesterday, number 8, and it is 5x plus 6 equals 41. So first I'm going to rewrite the problem, and then I'm going to get rid of my 6. I'm going to use the inverse operation and subtract from both sides. Plus 6 and minus 6 can't become 0. So I've got 5x equals 41 minus 6. 5x equals 35. The variable that I have is x, and it's connected to the 5, and it is being multiplied by 5. The inverse operation is divide by 5. If I divide the left, I got to divide the right. 5 divided by 5 is 1. 1 times x is x. X equals 35 divided by 5, which is 7. I hope you got that one right. If not, go back and do it again and make corrections. Number 9. Negative 9p minus 15 equals 93. Right here, I noticed that right off my variable is p, and I have a negative 9 being multiplied by p, and I'm subtracting 15. So first, I want to get rid of that negative 15. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add 15 because that's the inverse, that's the opposite. If I add it to the left, I have to add it to the right, and I'm left with negative 9p equals 108. Now I have negative 9 being multiplied by p. I have to get rid of that. I have to use the inverse operation, which would be divided by negative 9. If I divide the negative 9 on the left, I have to divide the negative 9 on the right. And negative 9 divided by negative 9 is 1. 1 times p is p. P equals 108 divided by negative 9. 108 divided by 9 is 12. And the sign, we've got a positive divided by a negative. My answer is going to be negative 12. Number 10. Negative 2m plus 14 equals 10. My variable is m. I want to get rid of the plus 14 first. The inverse of plus 14 is minus 14. Minus 14. If I subtract 14 from the left, I have to subtract it from the right. I'm left with negative 2m equals 10 minus 14 is a negative 4. What's the difference between 14 and 10? It's 4. The sign of the number that appears to be larger is negative, so my answer is negative 4. Now I have negative 2m equals negative 4. I need to inverse. This is being multiplied by negative 2, so now I'm going to divide by negative 2. If I divide the left, I have to divide the right. Negative 2 divided by negative 2 is 1. 1 times m is m. M equals negative 4 divided by negative 2 is 2. And I just checked to make sure I was on the right track. All right. Let's erase that, and we will go on to number 11. Number 11, we have negative 7. Let's see here. Negative 7 equals 7d minus 8. My variable, the last problem I didn't rewrite, so let's do that right now. Mrs. Lynn, practice what you preach. My variable is d, so I've got to get rid of everything in the way of the d. We're going to look at the stuff that's not so close right now, which is our -8. What's the inverse of -8? It's +8. If we add 8 to the right, we have to add 8 to the left. What is the difference between 7 and 8? It's 1. And the sign of the number that appears to be larger is positive. So our answer is 1 equals 7d. Now we want to isolate d. What operation is being performed on d? Times 7. How do we get rid of it? Times 7, the inverse operation is divide by 7. If we divide the right, we have to divide the left. 7 divided by 7 is 1. 1 times d is d equals 1/7. Number 12. -7 equals -3c plus 14. I'm going to rewrite my problem. Okay, and I've got my variable c, but I want to get rid of this first. Plus 14. So now I'm going to subtract 14. If I subtract it from the right, I've got to subtract it from the left. Notice I'm always writing everything I do every single step of the way. Please do the same. Plus 4 and minus 14 become nothing. Then I'm left with -3c equals -7 divided by -14. Excuse me, not divided by. I messed that up. Sorry, guys. Ignore that for a second. Let's go back. So we have -3c. Let's go back to here. -3c equals -7 minus 14. So we're going to add those. We've got a -7 and a -14. We're adding those together. And our answer is -21. That makes a lot more sense. Now we come back to our c. It's being multiplied by a -3, so we're going to use the inverse operation, which means we're going to divide by a -3. If we divide the right, we have to, you guessed it, divide the left. -3 divided by -3 is 1. 1 times c is c. -21 divided by -3. 21 divided by 3 is 7. A negative divided by a negative is positive, so our answer is 7 equals C. Let's go on now to number 13. Number 13. 12y minus 11. 12y minus 11 equals 49. Rewrite the problem. We want to get 12y by itself. Negative minus 11 is in the way, so we're going to add 11. If we add it to the left, we got to add it to the right. Stand up, sit down, fight, fight, fight. Okay, 12y equals 49 plus 11 is 60. 12y equals 60. We've got 12 multiplied to the y. We've got to use the inverse operation, which means we're going to divide by 12. If we divide the left, we have to divide the right. 12 divided by 12 is 1. 1 times 1 is, 1 times y is y. And 60 divided by 12 is 5. For number 13, y equals 5. Number 14. 14, 24 plus h over 4 equals 10. I want to get this 24 out of the way, so we're going to rewrite the problem because that's just what we do. Subtract 24, subtract 24. 24 minus 24 is 0. I'm left with h over 4 equals negative 14. Then I have h divided by 4, and I need to use the inverse operation. Divide by 4, inverse is multiply by 4. If I multiply the left side, I got to multiply the right side. I can put that 14 over 1, turn that negative 14 into a fraction. That's perfectly fine. These cancel out, 4's cancel out, and I'm left with h over 1, which simplifies to h, equals, what is negative 4 times 4? That is negative 56 over 1. H equals negative 56. Number 15 looks like I need to erase. Number 15. K over 5 minus 13 equals 4. I'm going to rewrite the problem. K over 5 minus 13 equals 4. I'm going to isolate the K over 5 because I want to get rid of everything that's not totally close to the K. I'm going to add 13. If I add 13 to the left, I have to add 13 to the right. K over 5 equals 4 plus 13 is 17. I'm dealing with a fraction over here with K over 5, so I can simply put 17 over 1. It's a fraction. K is being divided by 5. What's the inverse operation of division? It's multiplication. If I multiply the left by 5, I got to multiply the right by 5. These 5's cancel, and I'm left with K over 1. K divided by 1 is K equals 17 times 5 over 1 times 1, which is 85. So I get 85 over 1, which equals 85. K equals 85 for number 15. Number 16. Number 16, we have negative 17 plus Q over 8 equals 13. I'm going to rewrite my equation. Then I want to get rid of the negative 17. So the inverse of minus 17 is plus 17. If I add it to the left, I have to add it to the right. Then negative 17 and 17 make 0. I'm left with Q over 8 equals 30. Now, Q divided by 8 equals 30. I'm dividing by 8, so what's the inverse operation? I have to multiply by 8. If I multiply the left, I gotta multiply the right. And what can I do to 30 to turn it into a fraction? I can simply put it over 1. 8 and 8 cancel, and I'm left with Q over 1. Q divided by 1 is simply Q. 30 times 8 is 240. 1 times 1 is 1. Q equals 240 divided by 1, and my answer is 240. Nice job. Let's go on to 17. Number 17. 24 equals m over 10 plus 32. I'm going to rewrite my problem. And I want to look and find out what my variable is. My variable is m over 10, and this plus 32 right here is in the way, so I want to get rid of it. What's the inverse of plus 32? Minus 32. If I subtract 32 from the right, I got to subtract 32 from the left. 32 minus 32 is 0, so I'm left with 24 minus 32. What's the difference between 24 and 32? It's 8. But the sign of the number that appears to be larger is negative. So if I were to go from 0 all the way out here to 24, and then this is my 0, come out here all the way to 24, and then subtract 32 and come back, I would be at negative 8 on our number line. Negative 8 equals m over 10. Now I've got m divided by 10. How do I inverse that operation? I'm going to multiply it by 10 over 1. If I multiply the right by 10 over 1, I have to multiply the left by 10 over 1. These 10s cancel, and I'm left with m over 1, which is just m. I can put this negative 8 over 1 to make it a fraction and multiply my numbers straight across. Numerator times numerator, denominator times denominator. 10 times negative 8 is negative 80 over 1. Negative 80 divided by 1 is simply negative 80, and our answer is m equals negative 80. Number 18. Negative 9 equals 15. Negative 9 equals 15 plus y over 3. Rewrite my problem. Getting tired of hearing me say that. And then I want to isolate the variable. I've got y divided by 3 right here, and then I have this plus 15 in the way. I want to get that out of there. So I'm going to subtract 15. If I subtract 15 from the right, I have to subtract 15 from the left. 15 minus 15 cancels, and I'm left with y over 3 equals negative 9 plus a negative 15, which is negative 24. Negative 24 equals y over 3. Now, I want to get rid of this 3, this divide by 3 that is hooked to this y. I've got to isolate it, get it by itself. So divide by 3 is going to turn to times by 3. If I multiply the right, I got to multiply the left. And remember, we can turn that negative 24 into a fraction by putting it over 1. 3 and 3 cancel out, and I'm left with y equals 3 times negative 24 is negative 72 over 1, which simply reduces to y equals negative 72. Negative 72 divided by 1 is 72. Number 19, we're coming into the home stretch. Number 19. M over negative 7, m divided by negative 7 minus 14 equals 2. Rewrite your problem. And then I have my variable is m divided by 7 minus 14. The first thing I'm going to get rid of is that minus 14. How do I do it? I'm going to add 14. If I add 14 to the left, I'm going to add 14 to the right. Negative 14 and 14 make 0. M over negative 7 equals 16. Then I have m divided by negative 7. What's the inverse operation of divide by negative 7? It's going to be multiply by negative 7. If I multiply the left, I have to multiply the right. And I can put 16 over 1 and turn it into a fraction. No big deal. Negative 7 and negative 7 cancel. I'm left with m divided by 1, which is m. Anything divided by 1 is always itself. And then I'm going to multiply 16 times negative 7, which is going to be a negative 112 over 1. M equals negative 112 divided by 1, which is negative 112. That's your answer. Number 20. Each Saturday, a gym holds a 45-minute yoga class. The weekday yoga classes last 30 minutes. The number of weekday classes varies. Last week, the yoga classes totaled 165 minutes. How many weekday yoga classes were held? So let's go back and write down the information that we need from this. Each Saturday, a gym holds a 45-minute yoga class. So 45 minutes on Saturday, okay? The weekday yoga classes last 30 minutes. We know on the weekend they only have one class at 45, and during the week, we don't know how many weekdays they hold classes, but anytime, if it's Monday through Friday, they have a 30-minute class, and it varies. Last week, the total class time was 165 minutes. So the question is, how many weekday classes did they have? So let's figure this out. We know that 45 minutes was the one Saturday class, and we know that they have a certain number of 30-minute classes. We just don't know how many 30-minute classes. That's our question. And we know that it all adds up to 165 minutes. So let's give the number of classes during the weekday a variable. Let's call that x. So our equation looks like this: 45 plus 30 minutes times who knows how many classes. It's going to be anything from 1 to 5, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, equals 165 minutes. So we've got 30x is our variable. X is our variable. 30 minutes times that number of classes is going to tell us how many weekday classes they're having. So first thing we're going to get rid of is that 45-minute class we know about on Saturdays. And we're going to be left with 30x equals 165 minus 45. 30x equals 120. I'm going to divide by 30, and I'm going to divide by 30. 30 divided by 30 is 1. 1 times x is x. 120 divided by 30 is 4. We know that they hold 4 yoga classes during the week. So your answer there, 4 weekday yoga classes. All right, what I'd like you to do is work this out and send a photo of your work, convert it to a PDF, and then submit it at assignments.sestair.com. Remember, I want to see all of your work, and I want to see where you've corrected and worked on it and made it something that you're gaining understanding. I'm not looking for perfection. Remember, this is your learning, and your growth is going to be different from every single other person's growth, and that's okay. The whole point is that you're making some progress and you're making a step, and that you're getting more confident with this. And if you still have questions, call me, because I'd love to work on this with you one-on-one, or we could even have a Zoom meeting if a bunch of you need it. So let me know. You got to communicate and keep me informed of what you need. Thanks so much.